Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. I am back, and I'm back with a bear. If you haven't noticed, I've been playing a lot of Guardian Druid 3 versus 3 at the moment. The composition in particular, Restoration Shaman, Arms Warrior, Guardian Druid. We've been hovering around the 2600 current rating mark. We're looking to push this higher. Right now my gear isn't even close to the most optimized that it could be, but in today's video I'm going to be going over a general guide. This is going to include what stats you want, what talents you want, what honor talents you want, what essences you want, so that you can basically build a bear. You know, like I've got a Build-A-Bear store right now. You can come in and you can build a bear for free right now if you stick through this video. And I'm going to be going over some of just the general mentality of the way that you're playing throughout a match. So let's just start off. We'll look at talents. In the talent tree on the first row, Brambles is likely your most important talent of all of them to take. You might be seeing that it reflects damage from each attack, right? You might be thinking, well, no one's ever going to attack me. I'm the Guardian Druid. That's not the case when you run an Honor talent, which is Protector of the pack. This will redirect damage from your partners to yourself. So back to the overall gameplay of a Guardian Druid. Your main goal in the game is to know who the other team is trying to attack and protect them like a mother bear protects their cub. You stay next to them the entire time and you swat away all the pesky people trying to get after your cubs. But when your partner is being attacked, you can activate Barkskin and redirect some of that damage, and Brambles will be a significant portion of your damage overall. The other two, not even really worth looking at in terms of any sort of damage output or utility. Brambles is your auto lock-in. Similarly here on the second row with Wild Charge, you're going to be taking this pretty much in every matchup because it's so versatile. You can use it in bear form to charge to the target. You can use it in normal caster form to jump to an ally, and this actually becomes very important when fighting compositions like Rogue Mage because, like I said, your main gameplay strategy is stand next to the person being attacked. Rogue Mage likes to switch targets and isolate them, and you'll often be jumping out of bear form and using Wild Charge out of bear form to an ally to get back to them when the Rogue Mage looks to switch targets. Tiger Dash is a similar mobility, but it's too long of a cooldown really to compete, and it's maybe if you got Tiger Dash on top of Dash, but it replaces Dash, and Dash is already decent. Ursul's Vortex is something that I was considering. There's one matchup in particular as a Guardian Druid that I'm not sure how to win almost ever. It's Mage Warlock Druid. I was tempted to try Ursul's Vortex to use on the Mage, but they can outplay it, meaning that they can walk out of it, get pulled in, and then blink. You would want to be using this to capture a Mage on their blink spell, removing that gap closer and allowing your team more uptime to deal damage. Because it can be outplayed like that, Wild Charge is more consistent. It will just guarantee that you get back to the Mage more consistently. Now moving down to the third row, Balance Affinity, Feral Affinity, and Restoration Affinity. Pretty much, Resto Affinity is the lock-in. If you haven't been playing in much BFA Arena or you're jumping in for the first time, the name of the game right now is Stamina. Get as much stamina, get as much health as possible, so that spells like this, Ysera's Gift, which heals for 1.5%. 1.5% sounds really tiny, right? It sounds like teeny tiny, not really worth it, right? But when you're a Guardian Druid, and you've got 600,000, 700,000 health with certain buffs and certain honor talents applied, Ysera's Gift is going to end up being your top healing spell. It's automatic. Now, something important to play around with Ysera's Gift is that if a team is smart against you, they will do some damage to you so you are never at 100% health. And if you are never at 100% health, then Ysera's Gift will always heal you, even though you're likely not the main focus target. So you want to be using Frenzied Regeneration, which is a healing spell, to make sure, even though you're not being attacked, to make sure that you're at full health as often as possible. So Ysera's Gift is always healing the target that's actually the target the team wants to take down. That is something you need to actively be doing while you're playing throughout the game. And then, of course, you get Rejuvenation, Swiftmend, and Wild Growth. You will often be using Swiftmend on an ally to try and pick them up. This is very important if your healer is crowd controlled. That's when you want to look to use Swiftmend. You don't really want to use it when your healer can already heal, because then when they can't and you don't have it, there's no healing. So a good idea to just save it. You can use Rejuvenation to add another buff to your Shaman if you're playing with a Shaman to protect them and Ghost Over. Just add an extra buff in general to protect important spells like Divine Favor. I've seen a lot of Paladin healers with Guardian Druid, especially in Europe right now, doing very well. Regardless, Restoration Affinity is pretty much your auto lock-in. Because the healing is so significant on it, you can't really sacrifice it. I've considered trying Feral Affinity. Now, what we know is Resto, it's really good. It does a lot of damage, but I'm not sure it can actually do more damage than being in Bear, and you lose way too much healing. It's something that I would need to try, or maybe you want to try on your own, but I'm generally not really willing to risk the rating to go and try it. Balance Affinity is just, no, don't take it. It's too inefficient. You lose damage, you lose too much healing. Mighty Bash, this is pretty much my go-to. It's just a 5-second stun. You can't really go wrong with an undispellable 5-second stun. Maybe if you're playing with a rogue or something with a lot of stun, you wouldn't, but I still think you would. Typhoon is just going to knock the target away from you. Generally, Guardian Druids are playing with melee, although apparently someone in Europe is playing with an Affliction Warlock and Holy Paladin. I don't know. Guardian Druid's apparently good enough that it can make Affliction Warlock work, I guess. But Typhoon would be the only really other option. Mass Entanglement, not so much, because you're all against melee cleaves, which is where you would take Mass Entanglement. You're cleaving everything and doing damage to everything. You already make your team tanky enough that you don't need to use it to avoid them killing your team, which is generally why Typhoon and Mass Entanglement aren't that great. Bash is pretty much your auto lock-in. Guardian's pretty straightforward when it comes to talents. You're almost always taking the same thing. You don't have to think too much. And then moving down to this row here, Soul of the Forest. This is the only one where I've really had some thoughts as to what would be the best. But Galactic Guardian ends up being my go-to because Moonfire is usually 30% of my damage overall. And then this is just a chance to hit another Moonfire, reapply it for free, save you a global cooldown, give you extra damage on a Moonfire. It just min-maxes your overall sustained damage. Now, Incarnation can be really fun if you're solo Guardian Druid and you just want to like cleave maybe in a random BG or something. You want to just like pump people. But I don't know if it's necessarily worth the risk. I was thinking about it into Mage Warlock Druid because it seems you have to win that in a very specific scenario of burst damage. So this may be a better option, and I will try that moving into the future and let you know. And if you want to see how my progress is going, you can find me on twitch.tv/Subatease. I'm streaming every day from 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for basically as long as I can every single day. But then Soul of the Forest. It's like Incarn, but mini Incarn. It's going to be way less sustained damage than Galactic Guardian. It's going to be way less burst than Incarn. It's like middle of the road, but not really that great at either. I wouldn't really recommend it. Now moving down to this row, which is the level 90 row, you got 3 options, but really only 2. Earth Warden is something you just really don't take. You're already tanky enough. You don't need any more stuff really helping you out. Generally, I run Survival of the Fittest. This reduces the cooldown of Barkskin and Survival Instincts. Now, the reason that you need to change the way your brain works. Barkskin ends up being a damage cooldown for you. So reducing it to 1 minute by reducing it by 33% means you get a damage cooldown every 1 minute because of Brambles, the synergy between Barkskin and Brambles. Now, if you're fighting Rogue Mage, you may not want to use Barkskin for damage only until you figure out that they're not going to try and kill you, because Rogue Mage can beat everything, so you want to just be careful you don't throw away Barkskin too early against Rogue Mage. But pretty much in every other matchup, Barkskin is a damage cooldown. The only other time would be maybe changing to Guardian of the Loon if you're fighting a team that's just, for whatever reason, is really trying to kill you and you're actually dying. This will then mean that you want to Mangle and then Frenzy Regen, and it just increases the healing of Frenzy Regen. And like I said earlier, the name of the game is Stamina, max health. Frenzy Regeneration heals you for 32% of your max health. Increasing that heal by 20% is a very big number. You won't die if you run Guardian of a Loon. This is good for like solo, skirmishes, battlegrounds, whatever. Probably better than Survival of the Fittest if that's your goal with Guardian Druid, if you just want to meme people on your own. But Survival of the Fittest is usually what I go with. And then the final row, there's really no options. I always go with Rend and Tear. It's just Thrash damage, and it also reduces the damage that you take from Thrash, which means you're more likely to be at 100% health, which means Ysera's Gift will always be healing the person that's actually dying. It's just more damage, and it's all the time. Very important, especially against melee cleave. Lunar Beam really doesn't do too much damage. It's a really long cooldown. And then Pulverize removes your Thrash stacks, and you don't want to do that. In PvP, you don't want to do that. So pretty straightforward here. The talents, you don't change too much other than Survival of the Fittest and Guardian of the Loon. So it's going to be 1, 3, 3, 1, 2, 2, 1 for your standard 3 versus 3. And then moving over to Honor Talents. In Honor Talents, in 3s, I'm almost always running Relentless now. I found with Trinket, like I'd use it, but then other times it wouldn't be the best. Relentless just gets you out of more stuff more frequently. But moving down to the actual Honor Talents themselves, Protector of the Pack, pretty much always except Mage Warlock Druid, because Mage Warlock Druid is going to kill a target with spells that the redirected damage is not going to save them. I usually will drop it for overrun to get more uptime and more interrupts to stop important spells from being casted. But you're really not going to win that matchup, but you don't really need the redirected damage against Mage Warlock Druid. But everything else, you want this. And the main reason I guess you would want it is Brambles to redirect damage again with Barkskin. So maybe I was thinking about that now and I'm thinking about it again. Probably never drop this. Okay? Protector of the back, you're auto-locking that in. Den Mother, this is just, what did I say earlier? Stamina is the name of the game. Get a lot of stamina, get a lot of health. Any percentage-based abilities are going to be insane. This does that. Increases the health of everyone around you by 15%. This is important when playing with a Restoration Shaman because of an honor talent called Spectre Recovery. When they're in Ghost Wolf, they heal for what I believe is 3% of their health every couple of seconds. So you increase their max health, you increase their Ghost Wolf healing. They don't have to leave Ghost Wolf. You make your team into automatic I win team. So very important to take this. Malern Swiftness, I was doing a raid of Battleground. You're not taking Malern Swiftness, if ever, really. You have a couple options here. Generally, I'm going to be taking Sharpened Claws, but right now I have the wrong essences. But for the sake of this, you're pretty much going to be taking Sharpened Claws as that honor talent slot. Now, if you don't have Conflict and Strife, or if you don't have another one of the essences and you're taking Conflict as your major, you can take Demoralizing Roar. But I've pretty much played to 2650 at 2700 MMR, and I've not played a single game with Demoralizing Roar. Even though it is pretty strong, 20% damage reduction from everybody. Maybe I will try it in some melee cleave matchups that I was having a hard time with, but I've been playing without it. But this would be the other option that you could consider. If you're playing by yourself and you just want to pwn people, Raging Frenzy is great because Frenzy Regen just gives you Rage, and Maul is your hardest hitting single target attack. So you're really going to be wanting to get as many Mauls as you can. But that's pretty much going to be your honor talent. So always Protector of the Pack, Den Mother, and Sharpened Claws, even though right now it says Malern Swiftness. Now when we look to the essences, this ends up being more important than pretty much anything else. So the essences that you want to get, and I suggest that you start working on them right now if you want to be playing Bear at any sort of significant rating or just owning people, because it's really good. It's really, 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 really good. In 1v1, 2v2, even 3v3 battleground, it's really good. The ones that you're going to want to work on are Anima of Life. This is going to be your major essence. Okay, what did I say the name of the game? Stamina, max health. Well, this thing does damage based on your max health. So you got more health, you do more damage, you one-shot people. This is a big, swifty one-shot, everything dies spell. So you want this as your main Azerite essence. The Miner gives you max health. What do you know? Exactly what we wanted. All right. Now, the miners I've been playing around with. The only one that isn't mandatory, and you can see that I don't actually have completed yet, is Nullification Dynamo. You only want this if you have rank 3. You don't want it as rank 1. You don't want it as rank 2, because as you can see, it's just a shield, right? It gives you a shield. Well, you're not really going to be dying. You want damage as a Guardian Druid. So it doesn't do damage until rank 3, which is exalted with Rust Bolt Resistance, which takes a very, very long time. I'm almost there. I'm trying really hard. One trick here is you got to go to Mechagon. You basically do everything in Mechagon. That's going to be the majority of your rep. You can also get a contract from the auction house. So you get a contract Rust Bolt Resistance from the auction house. And if you really want to, and I've been doing it every once in a while, even though I really don't like it, you can do every world quest and get 10 rep from every world quest, and then maybe be getting 300 to 500 extra rep a day. You're looking at, if you did everything a day, maybe 2,000 rep a day. So between Revered and Exalted, it's 20k. I'm struggling on the math with that. It's like 10 days. It's like a month. You're going to be doing this for like a month. But once you get it, Nullification Dynamo rank 3, you're God. You're God mode, because the shield protects your Sarah's Gift, and when it breaks, it does damage to everybody. Best of both worlds there. That's pretty much a mandatory essence. I don't even have it yet. When I get that stuff, I'm going up 200 rating. Okay. Nullification Dynamo, rank 3 only. You want that as a minor. I don't have it right now, so I'm working with what I got, okay? Which is Memory of Lucid Dreams, which I grinded to play Resto Druid, but then I found Bear, and I'm like, okay, I'm a Bear. But I've been using it as Guardian, and the main reason for this is it gives you Rage, which can then give you more Mauls, which you really struggle with single target damage, and Maul is going to be all of it. It helps out, and it heals you a little bit. It's a great substitute, but it's also a bit of a grind. You need to be getting your followers leveled up. I think it's like 6,000, 9,000 total experience from your followers. So basically there are 3 quests every day in Nazjatar. You go do those. It's like 15 minutes. It's easy, 15 minutes every day, and it's like a month. And then you're done. You got this. It's a good substitute, but I would not be using it if I had Nullification Dynamo Epic. Unless maybe, and this is where once I get everything, I'll be juggling things around. Because right now I'm running Crucible of Flame Miner because it gives you a little bit of damage. Just a little bit of extra dot damage. It's basically what you're looking for. But maybe I will end up running Lucid Dreams instead if I want single target damage. And compositions that have Mage Healer, you really want more single target and less cleave because they're spread out. So it may be the case that Memory of Lucid Dreams is better. It gives you a little more healing to yourself if you're the target. It keeps you topped off for Ysera's Gift to heal other players. And it gives you more rage so you can maul, because maul is your single target. It hits like 10 to 15,000 damage, maybe 20,000 crit. It's the hardest hitting single target attack. So getting some rage will be nice. And you also get a little bit of versatility, which is your best stat. So I'll be playing around with this more once I actually have them all unlocked. Now, you might be at home not having a lot of time on your hands to do all of this, but it's a huge... It's millions of damage a game difference between Anima and Nullification Dynamo and having them. But, like, let's say you don't have them, because I played the 2650 and I didn't have Anima, and I was running Conflict main, just extra versatility, sharpened claws baseline, and I ran the Overrun Honor Talent as an extra Honor Talent for a little bit more mobility. And basically I'd use Overrun to stun a healer, Wild Charge to get back to the target, and I just added a little bit of crowd control. I felt really cool doing it, like the old school kind of warrior dance, charge dancing stuff, whatever. And I was doing that to like 2650, but I've been fighting other Guardian Druids and sometimes losing to them, and they're running Nullification Dynamo, and they just do a ridiculous amount of damage that happens automatically because of it. And yeah, I'm working towards getting it. But if you don't have it, you can make it work. But it's not as I win mode. But that's going to conclude for your essences. So you want Anima main. This is what I'll be running when I have them. Anima main, Nullification Dynamo rank 3, and then maybe Memory of Lucid Dreams as a minor. Single target damage against mage teams or casters. And then Crucible of Flame against melee cleaves, because you just want extra cleave damage and dot damage on as many targets as possible. All right, now let's move over to the Azerite essences. The Azerite traits. Now, what you're really looking for are Power of the Moon. This is going to be all of your damage. This is a balanced Druid Azerite trait, so you'll have to respec balance to lock it in on your helmet here, or whatever piece of gear it is that you have. You respec Boomkin, you lock it in, then respec to something else, or back to Guardian to lock in the rest of them. You want as many Power of the Moon as you can get, and you want one Waking Dream. Only one. You might be wondering why. It's Ysera's Gift. Isn't that the most important heal, didn't you say? But you only want one. It reduces the cooldown that it heals by 1 second, so it's every 4 instead of every 5. And the additional healing doesn't matter. It's just that it reduces it by 1 second. And it doesn't stack. You can't reduce it by another second and another second. So you only want one Waking Dream. That's mandatory. One Waking Dream. As many Power of the Moons as you can get. And then a good substitution for Power of the Moon, but this one actually has both. This piece is BIS for damage, is a Guardian's Wrath. Like I said, Maul is all your single target damage, which is always valuable. You wouldn't necessarily want it over Power of the Moon, but Guardian's Wrath, you at least want 1, but 2 is great, or even 3. And then what you'll do in your rotation is you'll Maul and then Iron Fur. This is only if there's some melee attacks or melee cleave attacks that will hit you. Otherwise, don't waste the extra tiny little bit of rage to activate Iron Fur. And then you can see on this piece in particular, I've strengthened numbers. Maximum health, stamina. You want maximum health, you want stamina. This goes pretty much for every spec in the game, because we got Crimson Vial healing for 30% of your max health. Blazing Barrier on mages, or barriers in general on mages, is like 30% of their health. Maximum health is the name of the game. So any essence on those 3rd rings that you see that gives stamina or maximum health, that's what you want. And then moving down here, you can see the same thing. I got a Power of the Moon. Great, I've got 3 Power of the Moons. Perfect. Collective Will puts down a banner increasing the maximum health of everybody. Exactly what I want. Strength in numbers increases my maximum health. It's exactly what I want. And then the inner ring and passive Visage is always kind of your just go-to. It's just a little bit of extra healing. This one I believe is I've really got no choice, because you can't use Battle Res in Arena, so I had to go with Self-Reliance. But anything that heals, and then same with this. No one's going to do 10% of my max health. I have 700,000 health. No one's hitting me for 10% of it. That'll never happen. So I just went Vampiric Speed, which is maybe if a pet dies to damage, which it could, I get a little heal and some leech. But it's not really better than Impassive Visage. But you wouldn't want to sacrifice Visage for Waking Dream if you needed one, or Power of the Moon, or Guardian's Wrath. So those are the ones that you want to be focusing on for Azerite traits. Aside from that, all that we've really got left is our gear. And Really, everything is good except crit. And I say that ironically because crit is actually my highest right here at 21%. But you really want versatility to increase your healing and your damage, just best of both worlds. And then haste. So versatility, haste would be preferred, but mastery isn't the worst because it increases your attack power and it increases your maximum health and your healing received. Really, you can't go wrong with Guardian other than you don't want crit dense, which I don't actually think I am crit dense. I just randomly have a lot of crit. And I've been running the versatility proc primary PvP trinket along with Bloodthirsty Urchin. Now you can replace Bloodthirsty Urchin or substitute it for Spore Pods from Underrot, but you want at least one of them because it gives you a little bit of an extra heal to make sure Ysera's gift is healing somebody else. That's just automatic. And then you can sacrifice this insignia for a Venom Shiver, which is off the first boss of Eternal Palace. Venom Shiver does a lot of damage, even as Guardian. The intellect buffs Moonfire. Moonfire is all your damage, and it buffs your healing. So Venom Shiver, even though you're tank, you actually would be wearing that. So if you're fighting a team and you're having a hard time ending the game, which you probably will as a Guardian Druid, you can run the Venom Shiver instead. But aside from that, I've got versatility enchants. Haste versatility is preferred. These boots are probably where all my crit is, but I just don't have anything else to work with. Versatility, mastery, versatility. These don't have any verse. You can see you would want sockets as well, but your main focus is versatility. And then weapons, you really want... and I'm about to actually go and try and get it, is the weapon from the first boss in Eternal Palace, a Shiver Venom Lance. This is just going to be giving you a lot of damage, even though it doesn't have verse on it. It's a lot of damage overall. This is the weapon that I'm going for, but if you can't get it, I believe there's one from a 5-man dungeon that has verse as a main. It's going to take me a little bit here just to find it, but there's definitely a weapon. How do I search for this? Maybe there isn't one in this dungeon. There's a weapon with verse on it. Yeah, here we go. Verse Mastery. So you'd want to be doing Waycrest Manor. This would be your best stat stick weapon. And if you can't get into the raid, this is a great substitution. But Eternal Palace, the extra proc damage from that polearm is super sick. You're going to want that. But you can see my Azerite items. There's 2 PvP ones, so you can get those from doing PvP. And then the Iron-Tired Captain was from my Titanium Residuum. I bought it and randomized it, which we really got lucky. But overall, now we've talked about talents, honor talents, essences, Azerite traits, gear, itemization. We've talked a little bit about playstyle overall throughout the video, but maybe we'll finalize it with that. So your main goal is protect your cubs. Your teammates are your cubs. You want to be standing next to whoever is getting beaten up and protecting them as much as possible, redirecting that damage by activating Barkskin to utilize the talent Brambles to deal a lot of damage to everybody. You want to be maximizing Thrash and having it at 3 stacks on as many targets as possible. You want to have Moonfire on as many targets as possible. If your healer is crowd controlled and unable to heal in some capacity, you want to be using Swift Mend on the target that is being attacked to save them. Don't use it rotationally unless the healing is just complete or the damage is overwhelming, then you will. But generally speaking, you're not going to be getting overwhelmed too much playing a tank composition. So you want to be using that to save during moments when you don't have anything else to do so. Your main goal is to use Frenzy Regeneration to maintain yourself at maximum health so that you're healing your teammates with Ysera's gift. You want to make sure that you're rotating interrupts with your team. So calling out all Skull Bash next, or you need to get next cast, whether it be Greater Power Blast or a heal or something along those lines. If you're fighting a lot of melee cleaves, what we found is the best strategy is to just, as a 3-man unit, run on top of the enemy healer and just shred everything up like a little blender. I'm playing with a warrior, Guardian Druid, Restoration Shaman. I've seen this work with literally everything. I've seen Guardian Druid Assassination Rogue, I've seen Guardian Druid Fury Warrior, I've seen Guardian Druid Frost Death Knight, I've seen Guardian Druid Affliction Warlock. You can play with a Paladin or a Shaman would be my recommendations. Shaman is more safe, it's going to be longer matches. Paladin is a bit riskier, and if you're running Paladin, you want to be running the Holy Avenger Honor talent. Like I said with max health, basically if you heal with Holy Light, with this talent, Holy Light will deal 30% of its healing and damage. But Holy Light usually overheals, but a Guardian Druid with 700,000 health, you're not overhealing. So all of that healing will convert into damage. And Holy Paladin is doing an insane amount of damage with the Holy Avenger talent. And it synergizes well with the comp. You have Hammer of Justice, you have Judgment, you have a bunch of extra damage. I'd say the Paladin version is a bit more fun. But the Shaman is more, if you're looking for raiding, the Shaman is more consistent. Although it is a bit gear dependent, you want to make sure your Shaman has a Vitality Conduit, has some Pack Spirit Azerite traits, and is running Spectral Recovery, and Spirit Wolf talent so that their Ghost Wolf is super durable. That way it's kind of just autopilot. They run around in Ghost Wolf, you support them, redirect damage, and then your warrior is just smacking things. But it's been working out really well for me. I've been having a lot of fun with it. I'm looking to try and push as high as I can with it. If for some reason I'm stumped by something, I'll be letting you guys know. I'm trying my best again to upload videos here every single day. Also, I'm playing Zandalari. If you're playing Zandalari, you want to get the Embrace of Krogwa, which is the Frog Loa, because look, increases your maximum health. Stamina, health. Also, you want as high item level Azerite traits as possible, or pieces, because they have the most stamina. Very important part to realize any part of the game. You can also use Stampeding Roar here, just talking about gameplay. And this sprints your team. You can use this to run away. You can use this to engage, but you want to try and hit your teammates with it more or less than just yourself. But that's your general basic overview. Build a bear video. Okay? So have some fun out there. Build your bears. Annoy some people. You'll probably get whispered a lot. I know I do. But we'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much, and have a good day.